my time on this earth, I've noticed that the common perception that most people have of leadership versus what leadership actually is are two very different things. And truth to be told, I don't quite understand why that is. However, I theorize that it comes from a lack of understanding, and that lack of understanding comes from a lack of reps in the area of leadership. Now, I think that the issue I personally had, right, from speaking to my own situation, I think that the issue that I had in the beginning of my leadership journey was that I thought leadership was about the glory. I thought it was about looking cool. I thought it was about the attention that gets drawn to you. But what I've really come to realize is that leadership is actually about the people. Now, the sooner you come to grips with that, and the sooner that you realize that yourself, means that is the sooner that you can become a better leader. And when I say that leadership is about the people, I think that one of the biggest facets of that is caring for your people and really knowing them. Now, the one thing I think in this situation that we can learn from Jesus, who is the ultimate leader, is that just like he desires a relationship with us, and just like he really wants to know us, we should strive in that same way to know and care about those that we lead. Now, the reason why I'm even having this conversation is because I've always had such a big passion for leadership. However, that's grown exponentially since I've started working in ministry. And to say that leadership is a large part of that job would be a gross understatement. It'd be a huge understatement. Now, I can definitely say in that experience and in this field, I've seen that being a better leader and caring for your people can definitely look a lot of different ways. But if we're speaking practically, two of the main biggest difference makers that I've seen are, number one, that you need to engage with your people on a regular basis. And number two is that you need to be aware of your environment. And as simple as they may seem, allow me to explain myself for a second. To my first point, as a leader, you should be taking a personal interest in each and every single one of your people, in each individual person. You should be checking on their physical well-being, their mental well-being, their spiritual well-being. And mind you, I'm saying that like within the bounds of what's appropriate for your environment and your situation. But as you do that, don't just check on them. Step two, but not really step two, would be to follow up on you checking in on them, right? So for example, if you know someone's taking time off to go and see a concert, then go and take 2 minutes, not in a weird way, but go and take 2 minutes to go and research the artist, right? To see who it is. And like I said, not in a weird way, but out of genuinely caring about them. I think another big example of this is I was on Instagram Reels is the funny thing. I was on Instagram Reels and I saw this principal, and for the first, I think he said 2 years of his job, he was just doing his principal job from his office and from his desk. But then he realized that he didn't really know his people. He didn't know his students. He didn't know his teachers. And so he turned his office into a storage room. And then he started wheeling around his computer on a rolly cart throughout the halls of his school. And that helped him to know his students better, to connect with them, to engage them better. And that helped him to do the same for his teachers. Look, you can't lead what you don't know. So you need to be close to the people and you need to be engaging them as much as possible. Now, like I said, please hear me when I say I'm not asking you to violate your company's HR policies. Don't go doing that. Don't go doing that at all. Use wisdom and tact however you can and wherever you can in these situations, but also apply what I'm saying wherever you can. Look, engage with your people and get to know them. All right, we know our people. However, what you're going to realize as you get to know the people you are leading is that they are only as good as the environment that you are putting them in. And what I mean by that is that the environment will affect everyone. And I can acknowledge, I'll take a step back, you'll have players on your team, or maybe you are the player that says, well, I can rise above my environment, I'll be fine, I can beat the odds, whatever the case may be. And that's great, and that is true for a lot of people. However, as a leader, if you can help it, you shouldn't even be putting people in that position in the first place. So 3 simple things that I like to ask myself environment-wise to keep myself on track are, number 1, what kind of environment do I want to develop? Number 2, how do I develop that environment? And number 3, what are threats to that environment and how do I eradicate them, right? The questions are, what environment do I want to develop? What do I want my environment to look like? Since I know what I want it to look like, second question, well, how do I get there? And the third question is the how do I stay there question. It's I know what I want my environment to be like. I know how to get it there. How do we keep it there and keep the threats away? Look, guys, I do not claim to have all of the answers. I definitely don't have all of the answers. However, these two answers right here have helped me tremendously. And I believe that if you apply them to your situation, then you will be on your merry way to becoming the kind of leader that others want to follow.